Good morning. I hereby call to order this 10th meeting of the Pennsylvania Public Utility Commission for the year 2025. We welcome everyone joining us here in the room today, as well as those joining us on the live stream. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. At today's meeting, which is open to the public, the Commission will act on various matters. Since adequate forums have been made available for public participation in cases before the Commission, there is no opportunity for the public to address the Commission at this public meeting. The public meeting motions, statements, and video will be available on the Commission's website later today. We do have a quorum of commissioners present today, as Commissioner Coleman is joining us remotely. Commissioner Coleman, are you with us?
Good morning, Chairman. I'm with you.
Good morning. The first matter on this morning's agenda is the approval of the minutes of the meeting of April 24th, 2025. I would like to turn it back to Commissioner Coleman as editor of the minutes. Commissioner Coleman.
Thank you, Chairman. I've reviewed the minutes of the April 24th, 2025 public meeting, and I move they be approved as submitted.
I've heard the motion by Commissioner Coleman. Is there a second?
Second. Seconded
by Commissioner Zerfas. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the minutes are approved by a vote of 5-0. Let us begin with the agenda today on page 1, and matters presented by Director Hafner in the Office of Special Assistance. I move that the Commission adopt the recommended opinion and order involving the formal complaint of Chris Paludi versus West Penn Power Company. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Vice Chair Barrow. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and matters approved by a vote of 5-0. Continuing on page 1 of today's agenda, I move that the Commission adopt the recommended opinion and order involving the formal complaint of Tamika Anderson versus the Philadelphia Gas Works. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Zerfas. Any discussion?
Chairman, I have a motion.
Vice Chair Barrow.
Thank you. This is a formal complaint by Tamika Anderson. She requested a payment arrangement and made allegations about incorrect billing and reliability, quality of service problems. It went to hearing, and the initial decision denied the complaint. While I agree with the initial decision's dismissal of the incorrect charges and reliability, safety, or quality of service claims, I disagree with denying Mrs. Anderson's request for a payment arrangement without first obtaining sufficient information to determine whether a payment arrangement is appropriate. And for those reasons, I will move that 1, the exceptions filed by Tamika Anderson are granted in part and denied in part, consistent with this motion, that the initial decision issued on October 28th, 2024, pertaining to Tamika Anderson's failure to establish claims of an incorrect billing and reliability, safety, or quality of service problems at the service address is adopted consistent with this motion, that the remainder of the initial decision issued on October 28th, 2024, relating to Tamika Anderson's request for a payment arrangement is vacated, that within 10 days of the entry date of an order, Philadelphia Gas Works shall submit to the record information regarding the amount of Tamika Anderson's updated outstanding account balance, including what is attributable to her cap arrearage, that Tamika Anderson shall have 5 days after PGW's submission, in accordance with paragraph number 4, to file a reply or other response, that the Office of Special Assistant shall review the information submitted and prepare an opinion in order for a future public meeting. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Barrow. We've heard the motion by Vice Chair Barrow. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Zerfas. Any discussion?
Chairman,
Commissioner Coleman.
Thank you. I do have a statement on this matter, and I just asked that it be entered into the record as though I read it in its entirety. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Coleman. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, no.
No.
Commissioner Coleman?
I voted in the affirmative.
Okay. The motion passes by a vote of 4-1, noting the dissent of Commissioner Yanora. Is there any objection to taking the previous roll call on the matter as amended? Hearing none, the matter is as amended by the motion. The matter passes as amended by the motion by a vote of 4-1, noting the dissent of Commissioner Yanora. Turning to page 2 of today's agenda, I move that the Commission adopt an omnibus motion both items on page 2, beginning with the formal complaint of Christina Steinauer versus the First Energy Pennsylvania Electric Company, and continuing the omnibus to include both items on page 3 and both items on page 4, ending the omnibus with the application of Safeway Courier and NEMP Transportation Services, LLC. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Vice Chair Barrow. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and matters are passed by a vote of 5-0. Turning to page 5 of today's agenda, matters presented by Director Diskin of the Bureau of Technical Utility Services. I move that the Commission adopt an omnibus motion both items on page 5, beginning with the application of American Wholesale Energy Incorporated Gas, and continue the omnibus to include both items on page 6 and the first item on page 7, ending the omnibus with the electric generation supplier license cancellations. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Vice Chair Barrow. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and matters are approved by a vote of 5-0. Continuing on page 7 of today's agenda, I move that the Commission adopt the proposed order involving the application of Veolia Water, Pennsylvania Incorporated. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Vice Chair Barrow. Any discussion?
Chairman,
Commissioner Yanora.
I'd like to enter my statement into the records. If I read it in its entirety, I will not read it, and I'm going to be concurring the result only. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Yanora. Any further discussion? I do have a statement in this matter. I ask my statement be entered into the record as if I read it in its entirety. For the Commission is an uncontested application filed by Veolia Water, Pennsylvania on April 1st, 2025. The application seeks a certificate of public convenience evidencing Commission approval of Veolia to acquire real estate in the borough of Hummelstown, Dauphin County. Veolia filed its application pursuant to Section 1102A3 of the Public Utility Code, which requires a certificate of public convenience before a public utility can, among other things, acquire through sale the title to property used and useful in the public service. The subject property is adjacent to real estate that Veolia acquired in 2024, the purchase of which the Commission approved. The combined footprint of these two properties is the proposed future site of a PFAS water treatment facility that Veolia intends to construct. As it relates to this application, Veolia entered into an agreement with the seller to purchase a parcel of real estate at a price well above the appraisal value. Veolia obtained two appraisals, which estimated the value of the property at $194,000 and $205,000, respectively. However, Veolia agreed to pay the seller $310,100 and estimates additional transaction and closing expenditures of $195,364. Veolia asserts that paying a purchase price and additional costs of more than 150% over the highest appraised value was necessary to effectuate the negotiated sale and avoid using the eminent domain process, which Veolia indicates is expensive and time delaying. The matter before us today does not concern any rate-making claims for the purchase price and associated cost of the property. I'm voting to approve the purchase of this real estate as its proposed use undoubtedly serves a necessary public purpose. Nevertheless, I find it necessary to state that ratepayers should be protected from paying excessive costs for real estate arising from the unscrupulous demands of sellers. In an eminent domain proceeding, the seller would be entitled to just compensation, not a premium price. I appreciate the challenges that public utilities face when seeking to acquire real property for public use. However, ratepayers should not have to absorb unreasonable costs. Therefore, should the value of this property be added to Veolia's rate base, I encourage the parties to Veolia's next base rate proceeding to evaluate the reasonableness of any valuation claims made for this property. And finally, I would like to commend the staff at TUS for the prompt review of this application. I note that the Commission is considering disposition of this application 51 days after it was filed. Any further comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the matter is approved by a vote of 5-0, noting Commissioner Yanora concurring in the result only. Continuing on today's agenda, on page 8, I move that the Commission adopted an omnibus motion, both items on page 8, beginning with the proposed tariff supplement of Wellsboro Electric Company, and continuing the omnibus to include the single item on page 9, ending the omnibus with the proposed tariff supplement of Citizens Electric Company of Lewisburg, Pennsylvania. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Zarfas. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and matters are approved by a vote of 5-0. Turning to page 10 of today's agenda, matters presented by Chief Counsel Screven and the Law Bureau. I move that the Commission adopted an omnibus motion, both items on page 10, beginning with the final rulemaking order regarding the low-income usage reduction program, and continuing the omnibus to include a single item on page 11, ending the omnibus with a petition for reconsideration involving Peoples Natural Gas Company, LLC. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Yanora. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the matters are approved by a vote of 5-0. Turning to page 12, and matters presented by Chief ALJ Rainey and the Office of Administrative Law Judge. I move that the Commission adopt the recommended decision of ALJ Arnold in the formal complaint of Sean Petty versus the Community Utilities of Pennsylvania Incorporated. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Vice Chair Barrow. Any discussion? I do have a motion in this matter. I'd ask Vice Chair Barrow to chair the meeting.
Chair DeFrank, you are recognized for the purpose of your motion.
Thank you. Please enter this motion into the record as if I read it in its entirety. Before the Commission for consideration today is the complaint of Sean Petty against the Community Utilities of Pennsylvania Incorporated, or CUPA. The Commission previously approved a new tariff to allow CUPA to begin billing for wastewater services using water usage data from Aqua Pennsylvania Incorporated, Mr. Petty's water company. In his complaint, however, Mr. Petty stated, among other things, that he has no objection to the new rate of the tariff, but that the new tariff did not contemplate homeowners or others like him with in-ground irrigation systems. Mr. Petty alleged, in part, that the new tariff caused his wastewater bill to increase from $75 per month to more than $800 per month during certain months. As relief, Mr. Petty requested that the tariff be modified and that an alternative metering system be available for irrigation systems. In response to the complaint, CUPA filed a preliminary objection arguing that the actions complained of in the complaint are in compliance with CUPA's Commission-approved tariff. CUPA argued that the complaint should therefore be dismissed. The administrative law judge agreed with CUPA and issued an initial decision granting the preliminary objection and dismissing Mr. Petty's complaint prior to a hearing. The initial decision found that the complaint was legally insufficient because the Commission-approved wastewater tariff does not contain a provision that would allow customers to use deduct meters. The initial decision further stated that, quote, in asking CUPA to make available an alternative metering system for irrigation systems, such as deduct metering, Mr. Petty is asking for the Commission to allow CUPA to deviate from its tariff, which the Commission has no authority to do, end quote. The initial decision granting the preliminary objection and dismissing the complaint must be reversed. The preliminary objection denied, and the matter remanded back to OALJ for a hearing. Consumers have a right to file a complaint and be heard when they believe that an existing tariff is unreasonable when applied to them. Any prohibition on allowing a utility to deviate from its tariff that the ALJ relied upon should not result in the dismissal of Mr. Petty's complaint, arguing that Coupa's existing tariff is unreasonable as applied to him. Although tariffs are considered prima facie reasonable, that does not mean that they cannot be challenged in a complaint. Rather, a complainant seeking to evade the effect of an existing tariff provision must prove that facts and circumstances have changed so drastically as to render the application of the tariff provision unreasonable. This is especially true when the complaint is being dismissed prior to a hearing in response to a preliminary objection, as is the case here. In this case, when reading Mr. Petty's complaint in light most favorable to him, it is not clear that he is not entitled to any relief under any circumstances as a matter of law. It may be, for example, that despite the heavy burden to contest the application of an existing tariff, the prohibition of using deduct meters is not reasonable as applied to Mr. Petty, which Mr. Petty alleged caused the bill to increase to $800 for certain months. Coupa's preliminary objections must be denied, the initial decision must be reversed, and the matter remanded back to the Office of Administrative Law Judge for further hearings to allow Mr. Petty the opportunity to demonstrate that Coupa's tariff as applied to him is unreasonable and not have his case dismissed on a preliminary basis. Therefore, I move one, that the initial decision of Administrative Law Judge Alfonso Arnold III issued at this docket and dated March 26, 2025 is reversed and remanded to the Office of Administrative Law Judge for further hearings consistent with this motion. 2, that the preliminary objection filed by Community Utilities of Pennsylvania Incorporated at this docket is denied. And 3, that the Office of Special Assistance prepare an order consistent with this motion. Thank you, Vice Chair.
Thank you. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Zerfus. Any discussion on the motion?
Vice Chairman,
Vice Chairman.
I'll be consulting in
Commissioner Yonora?
result only.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
Vice Chairman,
Commissioner
I
Coleman?
will also be concurring in result only and asking to be recorded as an affirmative vote.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Any objections? On final adoption, is there any objection to using the previous roll call vote? Hearing none, the recommendation is adopted as amended by the motion by a vote of 5-0, noting the concurrence in result only of Commissioner Yonora and Commissioner Coleman. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Barrow. That concludes our regular agenda. Now turning to the carry-in. On page 1 of the carry-in agenda and additional items presented by Director Hafner in the Office of Special Assistance, I move that the Commission adopt the proposed opinion in order involving the formal complaint of Liza Musios and Roy Cumming versus the Metropolitan Edison Company. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Barrow. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the matter is approved by a vote of 5-0. That concludes all agenda.
Sorry.
Vice Chair Barrow.
On your motion, Petty versus Community,
Yes.
I did not vote. So I wish to be recorded as aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
That concludes all agenda items to be considered today. Before we adjourn, though, I'd like to remind our jurisdictional public utilities distributing natural gas that on Tuesday, May 20th, the Commission's Law Bureau issued data requests. The requests seek information on the methodology used by natural gas pipeline operators to determine where emergency valves are located. The Commission is seeking this information in response to a recently issued report from the National Transportation Safety Board concerning the 2023 natural gas-fueled fire and explosion in West Reading, Pennsylvania. Please submit your responses within 20 days of receipt of the May 20th letter. Next, I would like to recognize Vice Chair Barrow for remarks on Electrical Safety Month. Vice Chair Barrow.
Thank you, Chairman, and good morning, everybody. I'd like to take a few moments this morning to recognize May as National Electrical Safety Month, a time when we work to increase awareness about the dangers of electricity and the importance of taking proper safety precautions at home, at work, and in our communities. This year, our observance of Electrical Safety Month comes with a much heavier tone. In recent weeks, 3 Pennsylvanians, Jilin Tong, Bryce Lohman, and David Lipinski lost their lives during storm-related incidents. Each of these cases is still under investigation by our Electric Safety Division, but all occurred during or following recent severe storms that swept across Pennsylvania, disrupted electric service to over 500,000 homes and businesses. Our thoughts are with the families and communities mourning these tragic losses. These heartbreaking events are a reminder that electricity is powerful, essential, and unforgiving when something goes wrong. Storms can leave behind hidden but deadly dangers, especially downed wires, which may not appear dangerous but can energize the ground up to 35 feet away. We are urging the public to respect that risk, stay back from any downed wire, and assume it's live. Don't try to move wires, even with non-metal tools. If a wire falls on your car, stay inside, call 911, and please report all downed lines to your utility and emergency responders immediately. Don't assume that they know that they're there. Safety doesn't end with storms. Electric Safety Month is also an opportunity to talk about everyday risk, especially when we enter the height of home improvement season. Looking back to 2024, Pennsylvania saw 22 electric contact incidents, including 5 fatalities. These included everything from worksite situations to incidents that occurred while working around the home. Awareness and public education remain the strongest tools for avoiding future incidents. So some everyday safety reminders. These are pretty simple, but they bear repeating. Call 811 before digging. Watch for overhead lines when you're using ladders or long tools. Use only certified lithium-ion batteries and chargers, and never leave them charging unattended. And keep kids safe indoors by using child-safe outlet covers and unplugging unused appliances. In closing, I want to thank our Electric Safety Division, as well as the utilities and the emergency personnel working across Pennsylvania for their ongoing efforts to keep the public safe. And to the public, please help us by sharing this message. Be aware, stay back, report hazards, and respect the risk. Together, we can prevent future tragedies. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Barrow. Before closing today's meeting, I'd like to take some time to reflect on the upcoming Memorial Day holiday. More than 150 years ago, the idea of Memorial Day, originally called Decoration Day, arose from the ashes of the Civil War. Many towns in the North and South, including Boalsburg right here in Pennsylvania, claimed to be the first to originate the idea. And since then, we have presented medals to soldiers, added their names to monuments, and named buildings for them to honor their sacrifices. But nothing can truly replace the emptiness left behind by a fallen service member, and no number of medals and ribbons can truly comfort the ones left behind. On Memorial Day, we honor the brave men and women who gave their lives. As a nation, we express our gratitude for the unthinkable sacrifices they made for the safety of our country and its ideals. As we all enjoy the long weekend, let us pay our respects to those who made the ultimate sacrifice. Take a moment to attend a parade, ceremony, or other public event to commemorate those who paid for our freedom and valor with their lives. On behalf of myself and my fellow commissioners, I wish everyone a healthy and safe Memorial Day weekend. If there's no other business to come before us, is there any objection to adjourning today's meeting? Hearing none, we are adjourned.